Just allowing the awareness to settle down into this moment. Fully inhabiting this miraculous body we live in. Fully present on this miraculous planet that holds us. Meeting this moment as if it's the first moment of your life. As if you were just born. Meeting this earth with no expectation. Not perceiving any expectation of you. Coming into the eternal now. Recognizing that now is the only moment that ever exists. And envision a beautiful opening in the center of your chest. That functions like a third nostril. And begin to feel each in-breath flowing directly into your heart. Feel it like the most beautiful, soothing breeze you've ever experienced. Feeling how Mother Nature offers us this incredible experience of grace. How soothing, how nurturing, how comforting. The breath flowing into the heart, circling around the heart, caressing the heart, soothing the heart, softening the heart. Feeling if there's any presence of hardening around the heart. Very often constructed by the mind to protect us. And perhaps just for our time together this morning, see if you can soften the walls of protection that you've constructed around your own heart. So that you can begin to experience the vastness, the infinite, eternal nature of the love that exists within you. And if the mind says, I don't know, I don't feel much love there, it's not that the love isn't there, it's that our work is to quiet the mind so we can feel it. Breathing in and out of the heart, drawing the breath in like new life entering this body in every moment. Flowing out of the body and cleansing all the places and spaces that are tight, that no longer serve you. Softening and letting go. Softening and letting go. Letting the ocean of love that fills us and surrounds us hold us, care for us, and connect us all. When we say we all breathe the same air, see if you can embrace that air as Mother Earth's love. She creates it with her forests and trees, grasses, plants, and offers it to sustain us. As she offers her magnetic force of gravity to hold us safely in place. Whenever you feel frightened or disconnected, the first thing to do is to notice your connection with Mother Earth. And to recognize that she feeds us and holds us with two extraordinarily powerful forces that are totally invisible. And that this body, in some miraculous way, knows how to take this invisible air, extract the nutrition from it, and send that throughout this body to keep us alive and strong. So just receive the in-breath as the light of love, the infinite light of love, brighter than 10,000 suns, entering your body and flowing throughout your body, healing everything that's yearning for healing, loving everything that's yearning for love. And just envision this body transforming into pure white light. And our white light radiating out in all directions, merging with the lights shining from every other being in this room, until this entire sacred sanctuary is transformed into pure white light, the one light we all share. In a moment, I'll ring the gong 3 times. Just allow your eyes to stay gently closed. feeling the light of love flowing into your heart and back out of your heart, and hearing the sound of the gong arising out of the silence, existing for a period of time, changing and passing away into the silence. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and out of the heart when it feels comfortable to you. Gently and slowly open the eyes. Good morning. Namaste. That was a very sweet, silent space, which is all of us. All of us. This seat and this stage and this table have been trying to teach me to deepen my mindfulness for many years now. Some of you may remember the story the first time I sat here in this sanctuary, probably 12 or 15 years ago. They used to keep that candle up here until I arrived. And the candle departed and nearly set the stage on fire. But I try to do a less dramatic entrance these days. This is a beautiful poem I just came across recently from a poet named Chalon Harkin. It's called When the Earth Shakes. It's when the earth shakes and foundations crumble that our light is called to rise up. It's when everything falls away and shakes us to the core and awakens all of our hidden ghosts that we dig deeper to find once inaccessible strength. It's in times when division is fierce that we must reach for each other and hold each other much closer. Do not fall away now. This is the time to rise. Your light is being summoned. Your integrity is being tested, that it may stand more tall. When everything collapses, we must find within us that which is indomitable. Rise and find the strength in your heart. Rise and find the strength in each other. Burn through your devastation. Make it your fuel. Bring forth your light. Now is not the time to be afraid of the dark. And this one, by a poet named John Rodell. When the world goes mad, become wildly kind to everyone, 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 everyone. My love, you can't control much, but you control how you treat others. In these breaking news, heartbreaking times, when nothing feels certain, let your raw kindness be a certainty. Allow your compassion to become a North Star, stamped up in the sky for others to follow. Back home. And this one from our beloved Thich Nhat Hanh. Someone asked me, he said, aren't you worried about the state of the world? I allowed myself to breathe, and then I said, what is most important is not to allow your anxiety about what happens in the world to fill your heart. If your heart is filled with anxiety, you will get sick and you will not be able to help. Now, most of us probably have a part of our mind that's saying, I don't think I signed on to incarnate in this time. Are you kidding me? Holy mackerel. And you know what I'd like to share with you this morning and this afternoon, for those of you who can stay, is that to get through this, we really need to be able to cultivate the awareness of the different levels of being that exist within us. In other words, there is a space right now inside you of absolute peace, absolute joy, unconditional love. Can you imagine that with what's going on in your mind? So the practice really is to quiet the mind so that we can find that place of absolute peace, absolute bliss, absolute joy, absolute love inside us. It's always present. And it's one of the hardest spiritual lessons for us to learn, because the mind is, as I've often said, my friend Emmanuel said years ago, the human mind thinks that its job is to be frightened. It's saying to us all the time, if I'm not worried, you're not safe. And the problem is worrying is absolutely the opposite of safety. You know? It's that place of not trusting the universe, not feeling safe, not feeling at home, not feeling that things are okay. And you can certainly come up with a lot of evidence to show that things are not okay. Jeez. Any newspaper, any morning, any news program on TV. And then we say, well, I just won't read the news or watch the television. But the problem is, because we're all one, we're still affected by everything that's going on. And sometimes, I don't want to be misinterpreted, like, you know, it's really essential, first of all, to do what you need to do to regain your ground, regain your center, regain your open heart. But it's also essential to recognize that what's going on this planet is affecting you, even if you don't read about it. If you say, you know, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I'm tuned out, baby. I'm not going to tune into this mess. But I think that part of the healing of it is to recognize that we're here now in this world, in the way it is. And a lot of us are working with feelings of, gee, I thought we left that one behind decades ago. And I think we have to recognize that this planet is a very difficult place to incarnate. And we've talked about that in different ways, you know, pretty much whenever I visited. You know, I remember many years ago, my friend Patricia told me, you all remember Patricia, those of you who knew her. I was sleeping in her bed last night. She said, well, you know, there are a few people at Unity that think that there's no sense having you back because you always say the same thing. And I thought, well, you know, that's all I have to say, really. Not to compare myself to the Buddha by any means, but the Buddha once was challenged by someone for that very thing. They said, you know, you can't possibly be the Buddha because you have nothing new to say. And he said, if I said anything new, I wouldn't be the Buddha. You know, because these are eternal truths that we're working with, that we're surrendering into, that we're moving toward. You know, I remember one time someone expressed kind of the opinion that what we were doing spiritually was to endeavor to turn the earth into heaven. And Ramdas was there, and he answered, he just said, no, this isn't heaven. There is a heaven. This isn't it. Now, you can interpret that in a number of ways. One of the really useful things is to think of that as that place of peace and love and joy inside us you could relate to as heaven. I believe that's said in the Bible, heaven is within you. So if it's within us, how do we bring it forward? You know, here's a statement from Ramdas. It's interesting that as long as you identify with your personality, the things that get you uptight are your enemies. The minute you identify with your awareness, with your soul, then the things that get you uptight show you where your awareness still has sticky fingers. because your mind deals with so much polarity, you feel that if you're happy, that means you can't be sad. You feel that if you're sad, you can't be happy. So you push away whatever makes you sad. But if you are going to be free, there's nothing you can turn away from or turn off. If you live fully in this moment, does this moment include that baby taking its last breath from starvation? Yes. So are you sad? Yes. Does it include the baby taking its first breath as it comes out of the mother's womb? And the joy of the beginning? Yes. So you're happy. If you are embodying the fullness of the moment, all of these are your voices. If you are to be free, there is nothing you can push away. I just had this memory of this time I was with Ram Dass, and he spontaneously decided to give me a back rub. And it turned out to be a very painful back rub. Like he was really pressing into the tight spots and and I was groaning and yelling and screaming. And he said, "What are you groaning about?" I said, "I'm in agony." He said, "Oh." Keeps going. And he kept jumping back and forth over me like a monkey, oddly enough. And I started laughing. And he said, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "Well, you look pretty funny going back and forth this way." He said, "So you're laughing and you're in agony. You're some kind of a nut." So the key really is to endeavor to remember that the serenity we're endeavoring to cultivate in difficult times is always inside us. It's always present. And that it doesn't mean if you're feeling serenity that you're not paying attention. You know, I remember a bumper sticker that said, "If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention." And as a meditator, I saw that and immediately thought, if you are outraged, you're not paying attention. You know, it's just the opposite, perhaps. Because outrage suggests that things are not happening properly. What does that mean? I mean, that's a very deep topic that maybe we'll touch on a little more this afternoon. But, you know, the statement that I've so often shared with you that our guru, Neem Karoli Baba, used to always say, "Can't you see it's all perfect?" We say, "Perfect? What on earth are you talking about?" And that was when, in the 60s and 70s, we only had minor problems like the Vietnam War and a corrupt government and nuclear bombs and, you know, these were just little problems. Not really. And somehow this earth muddles through. You know, Edgar Cayce, who I never really studied very deeply, but the great clairvoyant, said many, many years ago that he said, you know, that this entire planet is held together by the relatively small group of people who are traversing the spiritual path. So imagine how much worse it would be if we weren't doing this. You know, think of yourselves as George Bailey. It's a wonderful life. Let me show you what the earth would be like without you. And that invitation to be kind to everyone, to be wildly kind to everyone. What an interesting path. It's my path. Well, they don't deserve it. That's not the issue. Do you want the happiness and peace that comes from being wildly kind? You know, I was saying the other day, and many of you probably heard me say this, but the time in my life when I went through probably the biggest number of difficulties, like a lot of you know this moment. It's that moment when you go, oh my God, how much more can they lay on me? You know, how much worse can this get? Don't ever ask that question. The universe may show you. And, you know, one morning I was lying in bed, and I was thinking, you know, this is just horrible. I had financial problems. I was going through a divorce, and my business was falling apart. And, you know, I looked at a picture of Maharaji, and I said, I really could have used some help here. And I hear a voice say, I am helping you. And I say, you are? To do what? I see precious little evidence of any help. And he said, to find the treasure which once found is never lost. To find the treasure which once found is never lost. I thought, well, what does that mean? And then, as time has gone on, I have explored the path as a way of essentially mining for this treasure that's built into us when we're born. This treasure of pure peace, pure joy, pure love. Someone was asking me outside what the name Ramananda means and how I got it. Well, that's a long story. But it means bliss of God. Bliss of God. I got that name. I thought, wow, that's a good name. And see, a spiritual name is something you're given to grow into. It doesn't mean that's who you are. It means this is who you are going to become, or who you could aspire to become. So it's kind of fun because, you know, when people call me by different names, like John, I said, oh yeah, John, hi, I'm John. And then somebody says, Ramananda, and I go, ooh, that's different. You know, that's like reminding me of what my life is about. So if you see your life as about not endeavoring to control things that you can't control, but controlling things you can control, which is your reaction to things and how you look at them and how you relate to the beings in the world who really cause your skin to crawl. You know, you see them as your teachers. And your mind says, oh no, that's an awful path. I don't like that. Doesn't make any sense. Give love to people who are unkind. And you know, when the Buddha became enlightened and took the Bodhisattva vow, which is the vow he took when he was enlightened and he was really grooving, you know, and oh, yeah, it's good. But a question arose in his being, which was, is it appropriate for me to stay in this state of bliss when I look around myself and I see people suffering? And the question, or the answer that came to him was, no, it's not appropriate. And so he took what became known as the Bodhisattva vow, which basically states that so long as there is even one human being on earth suffering, one sentient being on earth suffering, it's incumbent upon me to do whatever I can to alleviate their suffering. But the other side of that was very interesting. He said, in order to do that, not only do you not have to surrender your bliss and your joy and your love, he said, you must not. Because if you do, what do you have to offer? Other than more anger and more despair and more desperation. So that's another reason why it's incumbent upon us and useful for us to really work on ourselves, to deepen that connection to that place of pure peace, pure love, pure joy. Keep reminding ourselves that it's inside us, and our job is to share it with others. I was reading a statement from my old friend Stephen Levine the other day, and he was talking about the Dharma, the path, the law, the path to truth. And he said, it's inherent in the Dharma that it be shared. Like, it isn't just something you take and hold for yourself. It's something that you share with the entire world. That's the job. You know, I was also listening to, I guess, what Sam was reading this morning in the Daily Word. And I was reminded of a statement from Mahatma Gandhi. He said, there comes a time when an individual becomes absolutely powerful. And that comes when he or she reduces himself to zero. Ooh, I don't know if I like that teaching. What does that mean? It means that, as Ramdas said, when we identify with our personality, we see things one way. When we identify as part of the one, it all looks different. But it's a very scary teaching. The challenge in this time is that this time is forcing us to take this teaching. Or not. I was reading a passage from the teacher Andrew Harvey the other day, and he said, you know, we've been given a number of opportunities to not have to deal with what we're dealing with right now, but we didn't take them. Now we have to deal with it. And if we continue to not take the opportunities to take the teaching, you know, maybe there won't be any world left. Oh, I've done it again. I've gotten too heavy. Too much truth. I'm sorry. So let me offer you this from the Dalai Lama. This is a great statement. He says, there is a Tibetan saying, when things are difficult, then let yourself be happy. Isn't that interesting? You know, I mean, we, like, things get difficult, we go, oh, I am so upset. He said, when things are difficult, then let yourself be happy. Otherwise, if happiness is relying on others or the environment or your surroundings, it's not possible. Like an ocean, the waves go like that, but underneath, it always remains calm. So we have that ability as well. On an intellectual level, we may see things as desperate and difficult, but underneath, at the emotional and spiritual level, you can keep calm. I can really sincerely say that it is one of the most profound spiritual paths to look out at suffering in the world and at unconsciousness and delusion and say, it's my job to go inside and find the peace, the love, the joy, and share it with everyone. 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 And what our workshop will partially deal with this afternoon is another one I love, I just found recently from Pema Chodron. She says, in highly charged situations, or any time at all, we could shake up our ancient fear-based habits by simply pausing. You know, if you think about what we do each Sunday, coming here, gathering, sharing, we're pausing. It's almost like this sense that the crazy world is out there, but in here we pause. Of course, we do find sometimes that our craziness follows in here too, so that's just the way that is. But anyway, we can shake up our ancient fear-based habits by simply pausing. When we do that, we allow some space to contact the natural openness of our mind and let our natural intelligence emerge. Natural intelligence knows intuitively what will soothe and what will get us more churned up. This can be life-saving information. What will soothe and what gets us more churned up. Okay, sweethearts. Thank you all for joining us this morning. And do join us this afternoon if you can. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody here at Unity, and especially Reverend Brigid and the wonderful musicians here. Oh my goodness, the music just keeps getting more and more celestial here. It's quite wonderful. And so if you have a chance, join us this afternoon. If you can't, go with blessings. Love life, live life, enjoy life. Keep your heart open. Namaste.